So the shooting in Bondi and politicians like Pauline Hanson and Bob Catter going on about immigration. This guy, the son, born in Australia from immigrant parents, right? I'm born in Australia from immigrant parents. I grew up in this country. I am Australian, right? But what is the under, and it's got nothing to do with immigration, right? What it's got to, the mosques, etc. And you want people to have, even Katar has said, you got to have some kind of belief, right? Some values. And when we look at the baby formula test, that of all the churches that were called, who said yes? It was the mosques. All the mosques said yes. Okay, what flavour? You know what I mean? Like, it was a test done in the UK and in the US. Christian churches hung up, even Charlie Kirk's church, right? It was a big social experiment that really highlighted the shallowness of religion, certain religions, right? So it's not the church, it's radicalised people. And it comes down to mental health. The mum of the shooter he's a good boy. You know what I mean? Like, and then the dad, joining him, going to the Philippines, getting trained in this military style shooting to come back and be remembered in this way. Never mention their names is the rule of thumb when people do this kind of stuff, so they don't get what they want. So it's not about immigration, it's about mental health. And when we have cost of living crisis, when we have racism, when we have governments that sell our fossil fuels and don't give us the same quality of life as the people in Qatar have when they sell some ridiculously less amount of gas, just gas alone, right? Qatar earns 16 times more than we do on our gas exports, and yet we're going and doing deep sea mining for more gas. There is no reason for our government to do this, and so we're at the end of a cliff, right? Australia has the largest biodiversity loss on the planet. On the planet. We clear more land. We're up there with the Amazon, right? And yet there's all this, there's just all this projection. And the guys that were interviewed to say anti-Semitic, going on about October 7. October 7 was an inside job, and there's enough information out there to validate this. Okay, poking the bear. When you look at what Israel and Nettie is going after, and how he's calling on governments, and especially with South Australia and New South Wales, saying that, Palestine is a sovereign state. It was a country. Before, they gave land to the Jewish people post-World War II, it was its own country. They opened their doors to them, gave them land, and now they're literally being ethnically cleansed in the same way the Jewish people were in World War II. And then they wonder why there's anti-Semitic. I know it's not everyone, but you've got to look at the frustration of the people when our government keeps on sending, weapons over to continue the AI-based genocide that's happening. So people are no longer going to be docile, but that's what digital ID and all of this AI technology is about. Colin Thiel, all of these people, do your research. I'm bringing this information out of the TikTok collective intelligence realm. This is what I studied when I did a BA in internet communications with Curtin University, right? This is exactly what we're doing. There is information, and the barrier to information has been removed because of TikTok. Yes, you have to do your validation. Yes, you have to look at, different angles of what you're finding from this information. But the information's out there, and you're either looking or you're not looking. And the agenda of One Nation and Katter Party is divisive politics. We need more teal in far north Queensland because it's in Katter Party land that Glencore has been allowed to operate, and the Indigenous people in that footprint Yeah, it's community groups that's elevating them out of poverty. We have this cycle of white business going in and getting our Indigenous Aboriginal people addicted to cigarettes, alcohol, and gambling. So that's how whatever money they're getting from the government goes straight back to non-Indigenous owned businesses. So that's the cycle. If you wonder where all that funding is going, you've made them addicted. And they've now got dialysis and kidney, and they drink lots of sugar, soft drinks, they smoke, they gamble. So we're slowly killing them that way. And we may not be doing it so blatantly and openly, but that's how we're doing it. And it's sad, you know, and I do believe that with this next election, with 300,000 Conservative voters about to transition and get their wings, and 500,000 Gen Z voters coming in to be voting age, 36 months, it's all connected. It's all connected, you know, but these kids will organise on different platforms because it's not the social media. It's the phone in your hand. They know how to use this tech, and they will organise because they know how to organise. They've been doing it for a decade, you know. So digital idea is about control, just like the Industrial Revolution and the education system that we've got. Like 97% of kids up to age 5 have the genius gene. When they go through the education system, it reduces down to 5. Now, there was a spy, a Jewish spy that was bilingual in the World War II, and he got messages around through textbooks, science textbooks, and they went on to become one of the largest textbooks operators in the US. Education is used to control the masses. Always. Look at Lao Tzu and his quote. He said, if you've got a 100-year plan, focus on education. And that's exactly what we're at the end of, seeing that ripple effect. Anyway, do your own research. Love to yarn about it. Chat underneath this YouTube video or this TikTok video. Let's have a honest, clear, you know, intellectual conversation about it.